So you're professor of animalistic psychology, which is the study of anomalous beliefs. Then you've got parapsychology.
Yeah.
And then you've got, your ghost hunting kind of stuff. So to what degree is there an overlap between these, or are they completely separate disciplines then?
No. There's a huge overlap. I mean, and it's to some extent, it's almost a matter of kind of labeling, to be honest. I mean, I refer to myself as being kind of an anomalistic psychologist because it's almost a way of saying I take rather a skeptical approach to this stuff. My working hypothesis is to say, well, let's just assume that paranormal forces don't exist. Can we explain the kind of experiences that people have? But equally, I do spend some of my time directly testing paranormal claims. So I'm doing parapsychology. And equally, a lot of parapsychologists, they may focus more on setting up experiments to see whether they can find evidence that maybe telepathy really is real, or precognition, or all these other things. But they'll also do stuff that's just based on the approach of saying, well, let's look at what looks like it's psychic but isn't, that we can explain in psychological terms. So there's a huge overlap there. When it comes to, parapsychologists would typically adopt a very strict definition of what parapsychology is focused on. They would say it's ESP, extrasensory perception, and that comes in 3 flavors. You've got telepathy, direct mind-to-mind contact. You've got precognition, knowing future events before they happen.
Deja vu. Deja vu.
Deja vu could come in. I mean, the other kind of 2 areas. One would be PK, psychokinesis, the alleged ability to influence the outside world just by thought. And the third would be evidence relating to life after death. And that's where deja vu might come in. Okay. Some people would see deja vu as being evidence for reincarnation. The reason you've got that feeling of familiarity is because you have been to that place before in a previous life, But they would just go for those 3. So things like astrology, most parapsychologists wouldn't see as being part of their discipline. They're going to use that very strict definition. Whereas myself, I am interested, if it's weird, in a very kind of general and amorphous sense, I'm interested in it. I want to know.
Well, this book you're writing, actually, Chris, you're writing a book, aren't you, which I think is coming out next year, isn't it, called The Science of Weird Shit. There you
exactly.
go. I said I'd get. Do you think that was an obvious plug there, Bruce?
I think that's a great title.
It is it's a title.
I wish I was writing that book.
It's almost a title to die for, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great title.
It is.
I told Kevin before, it started off as a joke. I was originally going to call it Why Weird Stuff Matters, which I think, again, is a good title because for a lot of the time, people think of this weird stuff as being kind of, it's entertaining. But you don't take it seriously. It's the kind of "and finally" item on the news and that kind of stuff. Nobody really takes this stuff seriously. Some people obviously clearly do, as Bruce has just been saying. But for most people, it's kind of weird. It's fascinating, but you don't take it seriously. It's not really part of your real life. Well, actually, I think we can learn a lot of really important lessons that generalise beyond just the weird stuff by studying the weird stuff. So I was going to call it Why Weird Stuff Matters, and then just jokingly I said to a lot of people, or I might just call it The Science of Weird Shit, and without fail everybody said, I'd buy that. So
great.
That's going to be the title.
So is belief in weird shit found in every culture? Is it, if we were to go to, I don't know, Aboriginal culture in Australia or, Aztec culture in South America down the years, has belief in weird shit always been there?
Well, yeah, absolutely. There's not a single kind of society anywhere in the world or any point in history where what we would kind of put under that general umbrella term of kind of weird beliefs and weird experiences don't happen. And so, that's and interestingly, you obviously get lots of cross-cultural variation, it's absolutely fascinating. Like one of my favourite kind of illustrations of that is we're very interested in something called sleep paralysis, which is a pretty common experience in its most basic form. You're half awake, you're half asleep, but you realise you can't move. And, it lasts a few seconds and you snap out of it and you think, that was a bit weird, and you get on with your day. But for a smaller percentage of people, they also get really terrifying hallucinations. They might hear voices or footsteps, and they can see demons and horrible figures and ghosts, all sorts of stuff. You get your difficulty breathing. You feel as if somebody's trying to kill you. It is absolutely terrifying. But you can look at different societies around the world, or even going back in history, and you see the way they interpreted the same core experience in terms of their own belief system. And that is absolutely fascinating. And sometimes to the extent it would actually influence the imagery of what they saw in their hallucinations.